Thank you for listening to this Podcast One production. Now available on Apple Podcasts, Podcast One, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
We make thousands of decisions throughout the course of our day, and by the end of it, the last thing we want to do is make even more choices about what to have for dinner. So say goodbye to last-minute grocery store runs, meal planning, and recipe stress when you sign up for Home Chef. You can break free from recycling the same old boring recipes week after week and put a little pep back into your prep with Home Chef. Home Chef makes your nightly routine easier and more exciting with a wide selection of delicious meals that arrive at your doorstep in the form of fresh, perfectly pre-proportioned ingredients and an easy to follow recipe card. With 20 unique and flavorful chef-curated meal options available each week, Home Chef ensures that you and your taste buds will never get bored. Home Chef will recommend meals based on your selected preferences with plenty of menu options to fit any dietary needs. Are you looking to master the art of cooking? Check out their classic meal kit options, complete with chef-written step-by-step instructions. Or maybe you don't have time in your busy schedule to cook. No problem. Have a hot, delicious meal on the table in a snap with quick solutions like their 15-minute recipes, microwave meals, and oven-ready options that save you time and effort in the kitchen. Plus, cleanup is a breeze. For a limited time only, go to homechef.com/Heather for $90 off your first month. That's a value of 10 free meals. Again, go to homechef.com/Heather for $90 off.
It's Heather Dubrow's World. It's a wild Heather Dubrow's World.
This is Heather Dubrow's World, and now you can live in it 2 times a week right here on Podcast One. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, oh my gosh, I did something so cool this morning. So, all right. You know, do you guys remember me joking about, well, I wasn't really joking, but I would say, I met those fabulous girls from Dior in Paris a couple of years ago, and we became friends, and I was like, I want to be a friend of the house. They're like, you are a friend of the house. And I'm like, no, I want to be a real friend of the house. So there's certain designers that I just absolutely love. Dior is one of them. And another one is Louis Vuitton. I know I say it wrong. I still don't, is it Vuitton? I don't know, but you know what I mean. LV. I love it, love it, love it. And my wonderful, beautiful, dear friend, Christine Grace, who I met at LV, who takes care of me. We've become close over the last few years. Anyway, so I got invited last spring to Paris. They have to nominate you. It's like a whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And of course it's locked down and I couldn't go. All right, there you go. So now here we are again. So right now should have been the couture show for next fall. And again, invited, and again, lockdown. And they weren't having people there in person, obviously. So I couldn't go, but I was invited. So they did the whole thing virtually. And that's what I did this morning. All right, but here's what happened. So the actual fashion show was at 5 a.m. And I just couldn't make that happen. And I knew I could watch it later. So I was like, blah, blah. But then Christine told me that they were doing this fun Zoom thing with, one of the heads of Louis Vuitton, and they were going to show everything from the runway up close and personal so you could see what you wanted to purchase and the whole thing. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. But here's what happened. So I got up, I knew it was at 10:30 our time. And so I got up and I drove the kids to school and I worked out. And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's a Zoom. I can't, how can I turn my camera off? That would be so rude and then I'm like, oh my gosh, but now I'm sweaty and disgusting. I had 23 minutes. I ran into the shower, threw my hair in a bun, put on lashes and lips and a little blush and a turtleneck. And I still have, I'm still wearing it. And left my workout pants and I put on a new pair of workout pants just because, no one was going to see me at the bottom, and sneakers. And sat down and Christine had sent me these gorgeous flowers because I have this LV trunk that Terry bought me, this little trunk that Terry bought me for Mother's Day last year. And it looks like kind of like a jewelry trunk, but there's a tin insert and you actually put flowers in it. And so she sent me these stunning flowers, and I ran downstairs and I turned on my circle light and I put my flowers with my trunk, and the invitation that they had sent was in this enormous box, and it had a plate and a gorgeous journal with the theme of the show and pencils and macaroons and like, oh my gosh, it was a lovely note and the whole thing. And it was so amazing. And so I zoomed down and I turned everything on and I sat there and I got to take little notes in my journal and do the whole thing. I'm just telling you that it was so special and so incredible. And I had the best time ever. And I hope that, you know, I get to go in person next time. It's like a dream of mine. I've never been to a Paris fashion show and I would, oh my gosh, it would just blow my mind. But what was so funny too, is I'm on this Zoom thing and it's like people, you know, there's some celebrities on there and there's, you know, buyers and there's people who are just, you know, important clients of the house and the whole thing. And it was just like the Zoom bar mitzvah that I was telling you guys about. Like the angles are bad and the lighting is weird. And so I was kind of very happy about my whole backdrop situation and my flowers and my lighting. I think I pulled it together. Not horrible. Okay, so today on the show is Jennifer Houghton. If you've never seen Turtle Creek Lane, it's crazy. I found her on Instagram and I started looking at her. I'm like, she's like Lindsay on steroids, and I mean that in like the best way, like extra, like crazy. And I just love watching how she puts parties together and decor together and how much she enjoys it and the whole thing. And she's redoing her pool. Anyway, I feel like we're friends. And this is the first time I'm going to get to, you know, Zoom meet her. And I'm thrilled. So I really think you're going to enjoy it. And I know she has a lot to teach everyone about not just decor and decorating, but celebrating and families and all of this. So I'm really excited for you guys to meet her. Stay tuned. Jennifer Houghton's coming up next.
This is Heather Dubrow's World.
I became obsessed with my next guest when I happened to be taking, I went down a wormhole on Instagram and found Turtle Creek Lane and discovered Jennifer Houghton. And she's an interior designer and an author and a mom of 5. And she calls her Instagram, and I love this, the most positive place on Instagram. One of my best friends, who the audience knows is named Lindsay, and Lindsay, my kids call extra. I think you take extra to an extra level, and I love it. Please welcome Jennifer Houghton.
Oh, I am so happy to be with you. It's such an honor to be one of your guests. I just love listening to your podcast and following your family. And anyway, thank you for having me.
It's so great. I'm so glad that we've connected. I have to say, you know, one of my biggest issues with Instagram in general is that, you know, you look at people and sometimes things seem very unattainable. Like how perfect people's lives are or how beautiful their homes are and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I get those kind of messages too. And I'm sure you do because you make everything really perfect. But what really resonated with me when I started following you was how, first of all, I love your moment of gratitude in the morning, and we'll get to that. But it's like you show the fails and you show, you know, how you just make it all work. And it's so real that even if someone can't relate to you, they can totally relate to you.
Well, my feeling is social media can be a really dangerous place to be sometimes, because I think you can take 4 minutes, you know, in somebody's story out of a 24-hour day and assume that their life is perfect. And, you know, that may be a highlight reel of what happened during the day, but that's not the whole 24 hours. And we struggle. We all have concerns. We all have stresses. We all have, you know, days that we want to sit on the floor and cry, you know?
And we do.
And we do. Yes, we do. And so I try through my Turtle Creek Lane account to show those times when, you know what, this was a total fail.
I think you do that. It is very positive and it's very inspiring. I kind of want to know how you got started. So when my kids, so I have 4, you have 5, God bless you. I remember when they were little, and you and I are very similar. I will celebrate the opening of an envelope, like any reason. But, you know, to me, mine started off small and I would make all the favors and make all the this and da-da-da-da. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But my joke is with the kids is that I peaked a long time ago. And so I don't do it all myself. But what I want to know is I want to know how you started. So you're an interior designer.
Okay. that is the thing. Probably I should clarify at the very beginning. Yes. Is my degree in interior design? No, it is not. I actually have a degree in English. And that's why I always say, guys, if I can do this, you can absolutely do this, because I don't even have a degree in interior design. Now, I had an mentor who taught me so much about interior design, and I've worked with her for, probably 16, 17 years now. But no, I'm not even an interior designer.
But you know what? You don't have to be. I mean, I think that's what's so nice about design and celebrating and throwing parties and all this stuff is you don't have to have a degree in this. You just have a desire to want to, celebrate and make things beautiful and enjoy the things around you. I think so many people are so hung up on the rules of design and all of that you start to not get things that you like. But all right, so you started out with a love of interiors and all. What did you think you were going to do with an English degree, by the way?
I had no clue. Actually, I always thought that I would go to medical school. I come from a family of doctors. And I thought, you know what? I want to become a good writer. I'll do that in my undergrad. And then I will go to medical school. And it never quite worked out that way. And I have 3 older children, and the third was an identical twin. And I lost one. And then after that, couldn't get pregnant for 11 years.
Wow.
9 years of fertility. And I kept on thinking, wow, that's when I should have gone to medical school. Was during that 11 years I was trying to get pregnant, but it didn't work out that way. And then we ended up having 2 more children. I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old as well. But I always say with my decorating, yes, I do go over the top. I love it. It's a passion for me, but it is 100% a means to an end. Like the end is not what happens in this room. The end is the joy that I felt putting it up with my kids, or the joy I felt doing it myself sometimes at midnight. Joy I see in eyes when they come through the door after school and they're like, oh my gosh, Mom, what did you do? Or when our neighbors and friends come over, or they bring their friends over. So for me, the decor is just a means to an end. And that end is really creating an atmosphere for a happy family. Because it's much easier to be happy in an environment that is happy.
You're listening to Heather Dubrow's World.
30 million women are impacted by weakened or thinning hair. If you are among them, you got to know you are not alone and that there is a solution that you can trust to deliver results. The thing about female hair is that we don't expect to lose it. I think men, as they're getting older, they know it's kind of a thing. Men's hair gets thinner. Some of them lose hair. They get bald spots. And people think it's cute. It's not cute when it's a woman, right? We don't want a bald spot. We don't want thinning hair. We want thick, natural, lustrous, shiny, beautiful hair. And you, like thousands of other women, can take back control of your hair with Nutrafol, Nutrafol. Have you heard of Nutrafol? So many users rave that the supplement not only transformed their hair, but restored their confidence too. Nutrafol offers 2 targeted formulas for women that are clinically shown to improve hair growth and thickness with less shedding through all stages of life. Healthier hair growth takes time, and you'll begin to experience thicker, stronger, faster growing hair in 3 to 6 months. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months, and more than 1,500 top doctors recommend Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code Heather to save 20% off your first month subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get 20% off at Nutrafol.com, Nutrafol.com, promo code Heather.
This is Heather Dubrow's World. Here's Heather.
I remember my husband and I, when we first got together, he didn't come from a family that threw parties or anything like that. And my mom loved throwing parties and loved having themed dinner parties and all this kind of stuff. And that's obviously, where I first started to enjoy it. And he didn't really get it. And to him, he always wondered years ago, like, who are you doing this for? Are you doing this so other people could see it? And I'm like, no, this is what I love. So I love that you're saying that. It's about your family, your friends, your experience. Because if you're just throwing up a bunch of stuff to show it, what a pain in the ass. It's a hassle. You can't do that.
It is. It's a lot of work. But like last year when my kids and I built this life-size gingerbread house, and we use like these 89 cans or 189 cans. I don't even remember, a foam insulation. And we were having so much fun doing it. And thinking, I don't even care how this gingerbread house turns out. Because for me, it's the memory of doing it together and that joy that we feel. And that whole season, every time we looked at that gingerbread house, we would laugh about that foam insulation being all over us and how we had no idea what we were doing. We were just having a great time together.
I love that. It reminds me of when I used to take the kids to the gingerbread making. We have this hotel near us called Pelican Hill. And every year they do this beautiful gingerbread making thing. And of course we did that at home too, but it was sort of the pomp and circumstance. You get dressed up, there's Santa's there, you take a photo, we drink a little champagne and the kids decorate thing. And I remember there were always moms hovering over the kids. I know you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Hovering over the kids, making sure that it was like equidistant, all the candies, and that it looked really good. And I didn't care if it looked like a hot mess and there was frosting all over the dress, and who cares? It was about like the experience and having fun. And that's exactly the vibe that comes across from you. You have to enjoy the process.
Well, and I tell people all the time, I couldn't care less how many rules I break. If there's not 36 inches in that walkway, I don't really care, because that Santa looks really cute right there. And he's going to cut it down to 18 inches. And that is fine with me. You know what I mean? Because we all love that dancing Santa. And so that's more important than keeping that rule, So I totally agree with you.
You were cracking me up with you were decorating for Easter and you had the carrots, your carrots that are like chopped off. So it looks like they're being planted in the ground, and you and your son are having this whole hilarious conversation because he's helping you, which is so sweet. And he wants to put him in the column, and you're like, carrots don't grow out of a column. You don't understand. It's got to go in. And I'm cracking up because I so get it, but it was so cute and it was so real. And I loved it. Can we go back to the fertility thing for a second?
Sure.
Because a lot of our audience has dealt with fertility. I did IVF for my first 3. I also lost a multiple. I feel your pain and I'm so sorry. What a lot of people don't understand is when you already have kids and you have infertility. I had it from the beginning, but I obviously went for some more. My last one was natural, but people don't understand how difficult it is to go through fertility, but especially when you have one, because I know for me and for some of my friends, people would say, you know what, you have a healthy child or you have a couple of healthy children, be happy, and it's still, you're going through it and it's just so painful.
Well, and I actually had infertility issues from the beginning. So my very first pregnancy was a miscarriage, had to have a DNC for that. And then I would seem to have about a 50% rate. I would lose a child or a pregnancy for every one that I was able to hang on to. And I don't know if it's something genetically, we never did quite figure that out. But so for me, it was, the minute I had our 5th child, McKenna Kate, it was like, I'm done. There was just something in me that just kept on saying, you're not quite done. You're not quite done. You're not quite done. And yet I couldn't get pregnant and thought, why do I feel this? Why do I look at the kitchen table and I say, wait a minute, I'm not done. That seat needs to be full. And so, yes, I did have 3 healthy children, which I was so grateful, but there was just something that said, you're not quite done yet, that these other little kids need to come. And so, like I said, we did a lot. In fact, I did 9 years of fertility. I never did get pregnant with fertility. Finally, after 9 years, I remember I was out on a run one day and I was just bawling. And I remember I just started to pray and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. In fact, my oldest, who he must have been about 16 at the time. He said to my husband, he said, Dad, when are we going to stop trading the family we want for the family we have?
Whoa.
Is that like a knife to the heart? I mean, come on. And so I called my doctor that day and I said, I'm done. And he said, well, you can't. You're in the middle of a cycle. I said, nope, I'm done. You won't see me again. If this is going to happen, it's going to be a God thing because my older 3 kids need me. And so I let go. And I remember out on that run, as I'm bawling, I'm telling God, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. My hormones are totally blacked out. I'm not being a very good mother. And so I stopped. And then about 6 months later, my husband and I were out on a run together with our chocolate lab, and he poops and my husband goes to clean it up. I get a whiff of it, start dry heaving in the middle of the road. And he's like, holy cow, are you pregnant? Because I get so deathly ill. And come to find out, I was pregnant with our little miracle Samuel. And then I guess we cleaned out the pipes and along came McKenna Kate. And so there's a 12-year gap between our third and fourth, but I kind of struggled all the way along. But that ending part for me, it was almost like I had to let go. I had to just say, okay, you know what? This is a God thing. I feel like, and I did, I thought I had 2 more children to come. And then once I had my little McKenna Kate, the feeling was gone. And
I knew it.
I'm done.
No, it's so interesting. So I'd always wanted a big family, but we started a little bit later. I had the fertility issues, et cetera, et cetera. So we did IVF, we had the twins, did IVF again, had Katerina. And she had some issues and I said, I'm done, we're done. But there's this one picture of our family together. And I always kept looking at it and thinking there was a hole.
Yes, I totally understand what you're saying.
It was like there was a hole in the photo and I kept looking at it and I didn't want to tell Terry because I didn't want him to think I was crazy. And also weirdly in that series of photos, we had like a professional photography session with the family. There's a picture of Terry and me and Terry, and his hand is on my stomach. I wasn't pregnant, but his hand was on my stomach. And so that whole series, I always looked at it and I was like, oh God, but I knew I couldn't, I had 2 frozen embryos. I just couldn't go back and do it. I was scared because of the health issues and which turned out to be fine, but all these things. And then I got pregnant naturally. I mean, it was just like, wow. Wow.
Yep. I just got chills all over. Oh my gosh. Yes. I know exactly what you're saying. And it is just, I don't know, bringing a child into the world, there's just nothing like it. And yet for some of us, it is just so difficult to get them here. And I think once they do get here, oh my goodness, we love them so much.
This is Heather Dubrow's World.
Hey guys, do you wear glasses or do you need blue light glasses? Is there someone in your family with increased screen time? Let me introduce you to the 4th generation family-run business, Peepers. Peepers has the solution with blue light filtering glasses available in no correction for you lucky people that don't need it, or reading strengths if you could use a little help like me. And brand new for 2021, Peepers also has kids blue light filtering glasses for ages 5 to 10. Over 250 styles, all custom designed in California. New styles every fall and spring. And the Peepers difference is the blue light filtering lenses, gorgeous quality design frames for only $25. Shop peepers.com/Heather or enter Heather at checkout for 20% off your order. This is a new and improved offer exclusive to Heather Dubrow's World listeners. It expires April 15th, so don't miss out.
Now back to Heather Dubrow's World.
The crazy thing is like, especially for people like us who are very type A personalities and like to be in control of everything and, to not be able to get pregnant, which should seem like for most women is just like the most natural thing. It's just, it's so depressing and consuming.
When I finally let go of that control that I had to do this, this was me and I had to do everything in my power and I was going to make it happen. When I finally let that go and just said, you know what, it's in God's hands, whether or not this happens, that's when it happened for me personally. And so anybody out there that's struggling, I don't know what your beliefs are, but I do think that when we try to control everything, we get in trouble. And I think the stress level goes up, the anxiety goes up. And the more we can step back and just say, you know what, it's okay. There's a plan, there's a purpose. And I'm going to let things unfold as they should. Then I think we're in a position to have things kind of the way they should. But man, when we're just going, I want it to be this way and this timing, that doesn't usually work so well for me anyway.
No, it's true. And even for people that aren't especially religious, I think just listening to the universe is so important to really listen to the cues of what the world is telling you is important, but that's a powerful statement from your kids to say something like that, and powerful of you to listen and do what's best for your family unit as opposed to what you feel you need. That's big.
Yes, it was like I said, it was like a knife to the heart because it was the truth, and the truth hurts sometimes. But he was right. And too much of my energy was being put to getting pregnant as opposed to just enjoying the 3 that I had. And it was a wake-up call.
I also think it's so important to listen to your kids, because I think so many times people want to talk at their children and they want to give them information and impart their wisdom and all this stuff. And truthfully, they hear, 30% of what's coming in. You know how it goes. But
you think 30% even?
18, I was being generous, but I think by osmosis, they get something. But listening to them is definitely the key. All right, let's go back to some fun. I want to go back to the decorating stuff because it's what you do is so fun. First of all, I love a tree. I mean, I was raised Jewish. We celebrate everything. So we do Passover and Easter, and we do Hanukkah and Christmas, and I just did everything. I love it. I love how you repurposed your tree for Valentine's Day. And I think it was because, am I right? Because you didn't take it down?
Well, this was the deal. It was after Christmas, and I was sitting there and I was on the sofa and I was looking at this beautiful tree that I just adore. And I thought, I'm too tired to take this down. I want to take this down. And I thought, wait a second, I don't have to take this down. I'm just going to transition it to a Valentine tree. And I don't know, maybe there was someone in the world before me that started doing a Valentine tree. I know I did get a call from somebody in Europe to do a little bit of an interview, and they said, are you the first to ever do a Valentine tree? Because we haven't found one before you. And I said, well, I'm sure that there's somebody else that was tired just like me, but it has turned into this big, trending thing now. And I think it's because we as moms say, I put so much work into that Christmas tree that let's enjoy it for a few more months. And so it's been really fun.
I love that. My whole thing is that I feel like when we have something to look forward to, it's what makes life fun. The celebration. It's like when your birthday's coming up, you feel like, okay, my birthday's coming up, so there's excitement in there, or Christmas is coming, whatever it is, there's excitement. But when you keep doing all the holidays, it keeps giving you something to look forward to, which I love that you do that. My question is, do you take a break ever, or does it literally go I've seen you transition your decorations before, and it seems like when one comes down, the other one is in transition of going up. So there is no downtime?
Sometimes there is, usually after I get through Easter, then we don't do anything until 4th of July. And then we hit into Halloween. But you brought up something that I really want to jump back to, which is this idea, and I think you didn't say it this way, but this is what I think you meant, this idea of traditions, and that having traditions in our family. And being Jewish, I have a lot of Jewish friends. And I'll tell you what, you guys have traditions figured out as far as you're just so family oriented like that. And a lot of the traditions we have in our family, my kids, actually, my 3 older children attended a private school that was predominantly Jewish. And so I learned so much from my Jewish friends about the different traditions that they did. And I just have so much respect for that. And so my husband and I sat down and we thought, it was when our kids were younger, and said, okay, what traditions do we want to instill? Being a Houghton, what does it mean to be a Houghton? And, one of those things for us has been, this holiday decor. And making and celebrating, like you said, opening an envelope. You know what I mean? It's there's always something fun we can celebrate, right? There's enough bad going on in the world, but let's celebrate just even the little things, that somebody got an A on a test, or that let's make a cake. What I mean?
When my kids lost their first tooth, we would sing happy tooth losing to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, but see, that's what gives our family roots. And I think that roots are so incredibly important these days, because there's so much going on around us, and our kids need to feel an anchor. Yeah. And they feel that anchor, and they know that they are loved no matter what. And they know that certain things are going to be kind of done in a little bit of a schedule. You know what I mean? That it gives security, I think, that they crave.
I agree. So we had a rabbi say once, he was like, look, the merit of a good Jew isn't that you go to temple every week, and it's not that you do this and it's not to do that. It's how you take care of your family and how you create this family unit. And that always really resonated with me because we weren't really brought up very religious, but like you're talking about, we had these traditions. So it's always really resonated with me to have my family unit and, what are our traditions? What do we always do? I mean, some people have dinner together every night. Some people just have a big dinner Sundays or, do a Friday night thing. And so we don't do Shabbat, but we usually have dinner together on Friday night. And if we can't make it because sports or whatever, we do it a different night. But I always make sure those dinners happen and those moments happen because you need those family memories.
Oh, 100%. And, as my kids are older now and we're starting our first grandbaby's going to be born here pretty soon. You know what I mean? I think that it is those times, those things that you think aren't little things, and you think are little things at the time end up being the big things in the end. You know what I mean? And I think sitting down to a family dinner, and you said this really well. I really appreciate this, Heather. You do what works for you.
Right.
And for me, we have a family night every Monday night. Well, then my daughter, we'd always go to dinner together. We'd go eat out. And then my daughter had this dance class. She made this drill team. And suddenly it was like, wait, hold on. That's on Monday night. What are we going to do? And so she has a break between 6:30 and 7:30. And guess what? We go eat at that little restaurant right by her dance. And we meet up on Monday night for family night dinner because to us, family night is kind of sacred, and we have to do what works for us. But, if it doesn't work on Monday night, you're right. We would move it to a Tuesday night.
For sure. But I love that you do it on Monday. I actually think that's such a phenomenal idea. I'm someone who always had Sunday anxiety because I knew Monday was the next day because I didn't really like school. And I think it just carried into my adulthood. And then I have a girlfriend who thinks of Sunday night as like New Year's Eve. Like it's Monday's like New Year's Day. It's a fresh start. There's so many opportunities. And it really changed my thinking. And I love the fact that you have this really fun, because most people dread Mondays. And now you have created something incredibly fun and a touchstone to do on arguably maybe the worst night of the week.
Well, and not only that, so like when our children were younger, we would mostly just stay home. We would, have activities and games. We'd eat together. And then, we'd have like a little value lesson or whatever that we would talk about. And then when I started, I had the 3 older ones and then suddenly had these 2 little ones, talking about the little spider, that climbed the wall and met the little mouse, the older kids were too old. And that's when we say, okay, we got to pivot here. And that's when we started eating out family dinner because everybody wanted to go eat out, and Monday night is never crowded.
No.
So that worked out perfect at the restaurants. You just have to pivot. You have to say, okay, what's going to work in my family, and don't be so set that you can't say, okay, I can be flexible with this. But the important thing is that you do it.
Yeah, the age spread is tough. So my age spread is, we feel like we have 2 teams also. It's a little smaller than yours, but it's like a 7-year age spread there. And it's hard because when your teenagers want to talk to you, you gotta listen. I don't care how old the other kids are. You have to focus on the teens, but then the younger ones sometimes, get thrown to the iPad or, so that has been challenging for a few years. I think we are finally moving into a better place where there's more group conversations happening. But I did tell them recently, I'm like, listen, just so you guys understand, when the youngest of you is 21, you're all the same age. You're all adults. And that's the end of that.
Oh, I was just going to say, and having these 3 older ones, it's so tender to me to see them almost raise these 2 younger ones, and there are times when I call one of the older ones and say, okay, I am not connecting with, my 14-year-old right now.
Well, no one connects with their 14-year-old. I have the same problem.
I know. When I saw yours is 14 as well, I thought, okay, we get each other because that 13, 14, 15, those are just hard ages, And
middle school is the worst.
It is. You just need to sit in a padded room for an hour and go, okay, I'm going to de-stress here for a minute before I say something that I shouldn't.
And the worst part is, at least when we were that age, we'd go to school and our mom would get a break, right? These kids have phones. I don't know about you, but I thought they weren't allowed to have their phones at school. I get text messages, people. Don't text me during the day. Check out.
It's those Apple Watches. See, they put those things on and the teachers can't tell that they're actually saying, hey, can you please go do this, Mom?
I know. It's so crazy.
You're listening to Heather Dubrow's World.
Every time I'm on a Zoom or looking in my phone or looking in my 100 Zoom mirror, what am I looking at? I'm looking at my eyes. Are you looking at your eyes? Because we spend like 90% of the time looking at the top third of someone's face. That's the eyes. When they start to go, it's so upsetting. Well, there's this product that I think is unbelievable. It's called Clarins Total Eye Lift. It's new. Clarins, Clarins, Clarins Total Eye Lift. It's a naturally powered all-in-one anti-aging eye cream with a lift effect, expertise, wrinkles, crow's feet, dark circles, and puffiness for a visible eye lift in record time. It's a plant-based formula, and it's fueled by ingredients of 94% natural origin, including their exclusive new Lift Smoothing Duo. It's a blend of organic harungana extract and cassiflower wax for a visible lifting and wrinkle smoothing effect. And guess what? This is great for all ages, all skin types. I wear contact lenses, or if you have sensitive eyes, totally good for you. So guess what? You can give your eyes a visible eye lift in 60 seconds flat. The Total Eye Lift is very, very easy to use. It's got a great consistency. The results are amazing. You are going to absolutely love Clarins' new Total Eye Lift. If you want to get 10% off, go to clarinsusa.com and use promo code Dubrow10 for 10% off with purchase of Total Eye Lift. DUBROW10. Dubrow10 to get 10% off with purchase of Total Eye Lift.
Now back to Heather Dubrow's World.
All right, so let's talk about, I want to go back to the decorating for a second. I want to know, so what's the process? Because it's very elaborate. It's always super cool. I like watching you get inspired by things. Do you reuse a lot? Do you have a warehouse? How far in advance do you start prepping this stuff? Like, what's the flow?
It depends on the year. It depends on the holiday. For me, it's always family is going to come first. And so right now for Easter, well, my daughter and her husband bought a home, and Stephen and Kimmy both bought a home, and they're moving in at the same time. And so I'm constantly going back and forth from house to house and get moved in all the time that I'm trying to put up Easter, and so this year, there hasn't been a whole lot of planning. Where I got inspiration for my Easter theme this year is we had this horrible storm come through Dallas. Our pipes were breaking all over the place. We had 4 broken pipes, and my husband was climbing underneath our house looking for these broken pipes because you can't get anybody to come over because everybody is so booked out. And he's underneath the house, and also he calls back. He goes, "Oh my goodness, look who's under here!" And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, what is it? A rat, a snake,
Right.
Whatever?" And it's our little bunny. And she had burrowed underneath the house, and she'd been living in this whole little bunny ecosystem underneath the house. And I thought, that's my inspiration. I'm going to make a bunny burrow out of our house this year. And so it's like when you come to my front porch, it's like this bunny burrow, and I've got the carrots hanging down as if you're underground, and they're hanging from the ceiling, and you walk in, this is burrow. They've got their little park. They've got their cafe. They've got their flower shop. They've got this like Toy Story, like it's like a Toy Story for bunnies, where the bunnies come alive and you're able to see what really happens in a bunny's life when nobody's looking. And so that was how my inspiration came this year. Literally, it was from my husband climbing underneath the house and saw our bunny underneath there. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's great inspiration. And then other years, I have it all mapped out and written out exactly what I'm doing. So really, honestly, it's, what does my family need? If I've got time to do it, great. If I don't have time, then it's kind of seat in my pants.
Do you think your kids, now that they have their own homes, do you think they will continue the tradition, or is it going to be, let's go to grandma's house to see it?
I really honestly don't know. Now I have a feeling my daughter-in-law may keep it up a little bit more than my daughter, which is interesting because they both love everything that I do. But my daughter, she is just very creative musically, and she's always kind of doing music type things. And so she'll just say, Mom, can you come over and put this up for me? You know what I mean? And so I think for her, she can just say to me, hey, Mom, come over and help me. And then I do it. Now, my daughter-in-law, and we love her just like she is our daughter. She tends to be the one that will say, okay, I'm going to buy this cute, thing. And I saw at Home Goods and I'm going to put it up. And then she'll say, what do you think of this? You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see. I honestly don't know.
That is so sweet. And then, so you also have, you have Shop Turtle Creek Lane where you sell a lot of this stuff. So do you decide what you can buy that you can use and sell, or do you decide what you want to use and see how many you can get so you can, how do you do that?
Okay, so this is why Creek Lane Shop happened, was that I would get so many people contacting me saying, even before I started the blog, where did you get, how can I get that? And I buy most everything at market. And so I would go down to the Dallas market twice a year. I would be like, I can't tell you where to get it. I have no idea. I'm so sorry. And I felt so bad, that I would put these things up and then I couldn't even tell people where to get them. So now I'm kind of to the point where I kind of show what I'm going to be doing and say, who has an interest in this? And I'll do a poll. And then, people will say, I do. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to buy 100 extras of these little bunnies because so many people said they love this little bunny. And so that was really the reason that I started the shop, was because not everybody has access to market like I do. And I don't shop retail a whole lot. Most of my come from the trade center. And so, it just naturally worked into, let me buy extras for you too.
I think that's so great. And I think it's also a really good lesson because you don't have to spend a ton of money yours is very elaborate. I don't think it's inexpensive to do that, but people can decorate their homes for the holidays and they don't have to go to, high-end party stores and things like that because, there are very expensive decorations that you can buy, but there's also inexpensive ones that if you put them together properly, they look fabulous.
Oh my goodness. I designed it was a winter wonderland tree around a $3 Walmart ornament that I bought. It was an ice skate, and it reminded me of my father because when I was a young girl growing up, he used to go out in our backyard and he would pound down the snow. We had a lot of snow up in the mountains of Utah, and he would pound down the snow and he would make an ice skating rink for us 7 children every winter. And I saw that little ice skate ornament at Walmart. It was a $3 ornament and I built around it. I love shopping. Dollar store. I don't care. I am not a name brand snob at all. I can totally pair a dollar store item with something that I got at Neiman's. I don't care if it's the right thing. It's the right thing. And never stretch yourself to buy things that you can't afford because that's not going to bring you joy. Mm-mm. Whatever your budget is, stay within your budget. I remember the first year my husband and I were married and we had no money at all. Did enough for one strand of Christmas lights. And I remember running down to, it was called Garden Ridge at the time. They've been out of business now, I think. And we bought that one strand of Christmas lights. And we came home and ran up we're on the 3rd floor in this apartment complex. And we put up that one strand of Christmas lights in our window. And I have felt as much joy, but never more joy than I felt looking up at that one strand of Christmas lights. And that's all I could afford. But to me, it was just magical. And so I guess I would say always just make sure that you're staying within your own budget and that you don't try to stretch too much because it won't bring you joy if you do.
I agree. And I also try to reuse things a lot. So if we do a particular theme for the holidays or for Halloween or for something, if there's lanterns or things, we'll keep them. We have a lot of storage in our garage. And so we'll spray paint things the next year. And when I say it's the royal we. I don't do it myself anymore. To be full disclosure, 100% honest. I have these brilliant women that I work with and we go over concepts. And so even if you're out there, if you don't feel like you can do this yourself, there's so many talented people out there that can absolutely help
you. Yes. And I reuse so much. I have a storage room we actually build off of our garage. Mm-hmm. And, one wall is Easter, three walls are actually Christmas. And then I've got a separate around the corner for the Halloween and the Valentine's. And I do. And I intermix a lot of times.
Yeah, especially with candles and different kinds of crystal pieces or glass pieces or whatever it is. It's really easy to mix and match. So let me ask you this. How do you get your kids to still be involved? Because I'll tell you, with my kids, I'm so proud that they're still willing to wear matching Christmas pajamas. Even the 17-year-olds are still wearing them, and Terry and no one like, they just know it's a thing. And maybe I'm answering your question for you, but for me, it's always been like, it's just the way it is. And they've always gone along with it because they know it makes me happy and we all like doing it and whatever. And they're not embarrassed. Even at 13, 14, and 15, they were totally fine. How do you get them to keep participating? And what does your husband think of all of it?
Okay. So my husband and I have always had this, I don't know, kind of this mantra that we would much rather influence and persuade than we would have control and power. Because when your kids are younger, you're able to control them. You're able to say, okay, you eat those peas, or you will go to bed at a certain time. But as they get older, there's kind of this inverse, where the more you try to control them and have power over them, the more they rebel and they pull away. And so we've always just said we would much rather have this influence. And I think that when you influence or persuade your children to say, okay, those peas really are good for you to eat, and you tell them why they are, and you let them come to the conclusion almost on their own. But, with us growing up, we do matching pajamas all the time. We always have, because we have so much fun doing it together. My kids wouldn't even think about not putting on the matching pajamas. But I think it's because it's been done through persuasion and influence more than through power and control, and so help your children to want what you want by persuading them, in a fun, happy way, as opposed to saying, this is what you will do, whether you like it or not, because it's not going to work. Once they become teenagers, that's not going to work.
You're 100% right. And I think the more fun you make something, the more they want to do it. I mean, just like with helping out with the decorating or participating in a service your family's doing or putting on the Christmas pajamas. Mine this year were like, well, what are the pajamas this year? What are the pajamas this year? I'm like, you're going to have to wait. And I actually, for the first time, because we were on lockdown, I did matching Easter pajamas, because usually we'll get dressed up and go out for a brunch or something, whatever, after the Easter bunny arrives. And so this year I was like, let's do matching pajamas. And we got them we had just gotten these 2 rescue dogs. I got pajamas for the dogs, and they thought it was hilarious. And yeah,
I love that, and your kids are going to remember that forever.
Yeah.
And that's what gives them their roots. That's what gives them those family roots.
You're listening to Heather Dubrow's World.
Our face unlocks our phone. And let's face it, our phone is barely even used as a phone. We have apps that let us order pizza from our yoga class, and we have conversations with our watch. Terry has a car that drives him to work. Unbelievable. You know what's still the same, though? Coloring our hair. Terrible. What are the options? You can go to a traditional salon and spend lots of time and money, or grab a box of hair color at the drugstore that, always dries out your hair. But now there's a new way. Madison Reed. It took a strong woman to shake up the hair coloring world, and Amy Eric did just that with Madison Reed, the company she named after her daughter. And if you're thinking, okay, but how do I match my color? Don't worry. Madison Reed gives you the tools you need so you can color with confidence. Get ammonia-free, multi-dimensional hair color delivered to your door starting at $22. Visit Madison-Reed.com. That's Madison-Reed.com. And now Heather Dubrow's World listeners get 10% off plus free shipping on their first color kit with code Heather. That's code Heather.
This is Heather Dubrow's World. Here's Heather.
By the way, I loved Kimmy's baby shower.
Wasn't that fun?
It was so pretty and so fun. But, it's funny because I love the way you throw parties. I love the way you decorate. I think we have a lot of overlap between that kind of thing. What I want to know is, what do you think is the most important part of throwing a party? What's the most important part to you?
To me, personally, it's been a successful party if people leave the event feeling better about themselves than when they came.
Okay. And how do you do that?
And so I think that everybody, and one of the reasons that we did the baby shower the way that we did, we actually had call times. And it was a lot because of COVID, because we didn't want to have, any more than like 10 guests there at a time. But after it was over, Kimmy and I sat down and we said, this was the greatest idea ever, because she said, I was able to have one-on-one time with every guest that came. And I said, oh my gosh, I was too. Try to make it to where every family member is visiting with every guest, so that when a guest comes or leaves, that they feel like they've been seen. They feel like they've been heard. They've had a great time. They feel important. They feel like this party would not have been as good had I not been there. To me, that's the success.
So you had people come, so you had a party. It was almost like an open house, but it was scheduled. So if it was from 1 to 4, you had these people come at 1, these people come at 1:30, these people come at 2, like that?
Exactly. Yes. And so on their invitation, there was a call time. And so they came and it was just so awesome to be able to sit down and really visit. And, we were outdoors, which, made it a whole lot better for COVID as well, but I just wanted to be super sensitive to that. And so it's almost like we realized how incredible this idea was, not because that's really how we had planned it, really planned it for COVID. You know what I mean? But that, for me, I'm going to do every baby shower that way from this point on, where you kind of have a call time. And if they can't make it at that call time, I mean, obviously several people, texted me and said, hey, can I come, the extra or whatever. But I just think as long as everybody there feels like they were wanted, and I think that comes through individual interaction.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's so smart. When we first moved into this house, we had this huge holiday party and I hated it. I didn't talk to anybody. I was like, by the end of the night, I was like, what was that for? Well, and then the next year it got smaller and smaller. So now I really just do dinner parties, because to me, what I enjoy most is spending time with people I like. And one of my hard, fast rules is, if you're having a party, like a dinner party kind of thing, and there's a person, or even just a party, there's someone you don't want to sit next to at the table, they shouldn't be at the party.
Exactly. No, and people can feel that vibe. They can feel if you're stressed. They can feel, you know what I mean? And so you have to work it around. Like I said, there again, what works for your family, what works for the event, and then work backwards.
But so that we agree on, but what about the actual party? Like, when you think about designing a party, do you go for your aesthetics first? Do you think about the food? Do you think about the vendors or the activities that you're going to do? How do you shape a party?
I usually always go with theme first. What is my theme? And then I'll back into that. Then usually I will go to, okay, so after the theme, say, I'll work with vendors and say, okay, what is available out there that fits into my theme that I don't already own? You just kind of get smaller and smaller and smaller, and you take each section of where the party's going to be and you work into that. And you say, okay, I want balloons here. And I'll usually kind of draw it out on how I want it. I'll work with the vendors, and then they say, okay, food. I think food is super important. You know what I mean? Let's make this food really good. And a lot of times I have time to cook, and sometimes I don't. For me, I love to do things homemade if I can. But if you don't have time, then find somebody that you really trust, work with them. Once they understand your vision and that you're working within this parameter of a theme, then it kind of all comes together. But I think for me first, I always need to understand and remind myself, what is the theme?
Yeah, I do this. I do something similar. The thing that always bumps me, and my friend Lindsay and I are always talking about this, is we like to have something sort of fun and active to do at parties. And it's I compare it to, when you have kids, you have a bouncy house and a balloon twister. What does that look like as they get older? And what does it look like for an adult party? So I just recently did a dinner party it was a Japanese style party. Nobu catered it. And the balloon twisting vendor, let's just call it that. We made sushi that, Chef Tetsu showed everyone how to make sushi. We did a sake tasting. Like, there was like some fun things to do. What do you have any favorite sort of party activities?
Well, I remember, so I love your idea of having, when they come in, there's something for them to do. And I actually hosted before COVID. I had what was called the Turtle Creek Lane Insiders. And they were kind of like, I had an open house and had them all come over to the house. And I had a professional cookie decorator come, okay, and we had cookies all set out. And and he taught everybody how to decorate beautiful cookies.
Oh, that's nice.
So it was something that you were kind of able. Yeah, it was super fun. And having an activity like that where as people are coming in, you know what I mean? You're able to just kind of mingle and talk. And yet then he brings you all together. Everybody grab your cookie. I'm going to show you how to decorate this incredible cookie. And then he shows you how, and then he gave us the recipes. We're able to visit and talk, but also do something with our hands at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it's an icebreaker, no pun intended, but it's, it is. And it gives you, because, sometimes it's awkward to walk into a party and not everyone is an extrovert and can walk over to someone and say, hi, how are you? I'm so-and-so. It's nice to have a little activity like that. I love that. All right. I know we're getting limited on time here, but I want to hear about your healthy living guide. It's so hard to feed a family of 4, 5, 6, 7 people. I don't know about your household, but I have, one vegetarian, one that waffles between vegetarian and non-vegetarian, dairy-free kids. And I do not cook, but during lockdown, I was making a lot of meals. And, God bless anyone that needs to do this on the daily, because I just can't. But you've managed to do this and you're very fit and very healthy, and you've created a guide to help other people do the same. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes. So like I said, I come from a very medical family. We have lots of doctors in my family. And I was always raised with, nutrition. We had a giant garden, and we had our own chickens with our fresh eggs. And my parents ground, and in fact, this is something I still do. I grind my own wheat and make my own bread for my kids,
You
And
grind
so we were raised
wheat?
in a very healthy.
Wait a minute. Stop the.
Yeah.
You grind wheat?
Yes, I take 3 kinds of wheat: einkorn, hard red wheat, and hard white wheat. And I have my own grinder, and I grind it, and I make bread every Tuesday, because my grandmother used to come on Tuesday and bake 7 loaves of bread for our family. And I just have kept on that tradition because it's, it's tradition. And so, yes, I do. And I have always been very nutrition conscious. And so it just all boiled down to refined carbohydrates are the enemy. Now, we eat carbohydrates, but we eat them the way that God made them. For example, if we eat an apple, we eat the peeling too. You know what I mean? Or we try to eat foods the way that God made them. And I started the Healthy Living Guide after we'd done this for about a year. And I just saw incredible results with my children. And I've got so many hacks now and things that you can do that are just a great way to eat. And I actually work with a metabolic scientist now. I wear a continuous glucose monitor so I can actually check, not because I'm diabetic, but I'm really interested. Like sometimes I'll put something in my mouth and my glucose monitor will just shoot up. And I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea. But usually that happens with refined carbohydrates.
I was going to say, people don't really understand that because they think, back in the day, Terry and I have written a bunch of diet books, and, through learning about all this, I think you're right on the money, because back in the day, people used to think fat was the enemy, and it's not fat, it's sugar. And what we all want to do is lower the glycemic index, which is exactly what you're talking about. So it's really smart.
White flour and sugar.
Yeah.
Just those 2 things. Just ask yourself, can I just cut out white flour and sugar for a week? Well, actually, no, you got to. If I was totally addicted to sugar, I used to eat literally a quarter of a gallon of ice cream every day. I was so addicted to sugar when we started this thing. And when I started cutting out all these refined carbohydrates for about 2 weeks, I was a stark raving lunatic. Yes, because I was addicted. I was addicted to sugar. And coming off of that sugar, I think sugar is dangerous, actually. And I think that we give our children way too much of it. And then we expect them to sit in the class for 7 hours and actually think, and I just noticed how my brain is so much clearer. I give myself so much more fat to have.
I know. So do I. But you have to retrain your brain to really understand all that. And it's so funny about the kids. I remember when the kids were, my twins, the oldest ones were like 6 or 7 or 6 or 7 or 8, like that. And they were starting to, at parties, serve Sprite. Okay. And some of the mothers were so horrified by the Sprite, but I would watch them sit there and give them like a gallon of apple juice. And I would go, it's the same thing. It's not bitter sugar. It's just all sugar.
Well, I remember my pediatrician saying that juice is literally child abuse. Like you don't need to give your kids apple juice. You need the fiber from that. Now, an apple is not the enemy, but apple juice, you've taken 60 apples and taken all of that sugar and put it into a little, liquid, and you're going to feed it to your kids all day long. And you think, why can't I get anything done? My kids are so hyper. Well,
right.
Guess what?
Yeah. All right. I could talk to you literally all day. You are so fabulous. Congratulations on all the success. And I just love following you and seeing what your family's doing. And I hope we get to meet in person someday soon.
I would love that. And the feeling is mutual. I just have so much respect for you and sharing what you're doing with your kids. And
thanks. Tell everyone how to find you on social media and how to find the guide and the blog and everything.
Yes. So on Instagram, I am at Turtle Creek Lane. And then within Turtle Creek Lane, there is a link in the bio that has a link to my shop. And that's where we have all the fun goodies that, I buy extras of.
All right, but you got to get on it quick because this stuff sells out. I am not kidding you. I saw something the other day. I'm like, nope, it's gone. It's gone. You are adorable. Take care.
Yeah.
I will speak to you soon.
This is Heather Dubrow's World.
All this month on Pluto TV, women take the lead in celebration of Women's History Month. Drop in for the best of female talent in film, TV, documentaries, comedy, and more, with big movies like Charlie's Angels, Last Holiday, and Pretty in Pink. Plus, shows like Inside Amy Schumer, Moesha, and Sister Sister. There's something for everyone.
This is Heather Dubrow's World. Here's Heather.
Wasn't that fun? She's super fun. We were having a few technical glitchy sound things, so I hope you guys could bear with that. My podcast room is almost done, and we're calling it Studio D. Do you like that? I sort of picked it because, like Dubrow, but also kind of makes you think there's an A, B, and C studio somewhere. And so it's Studio D. So thank you for all your suggestions, but I am calling it the studio, which a lot of you actually suggested. So great minds think alike. I love that we all came up with that. Anyway, it's really come together. I'm super excited about it. And I don't know, that's it. What's everyone doing this weekend? I hope you have big plans or some plans. The world seems to be opening up a little bit more, which is great. And I just love being with you guys so much. If you have a second, go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review and say what you love about Heather Dubrow's World. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening to Heather Dubrow's World. Download new episodes every Thursday and Friday on Podcast One, the Podcast One app, or Apple Podcasts. And please make sure to subscribe to the show and leave a lovely 5-star rating. Go to Apple Podcasts and say how much you love Heather Dubrow's World. See you next week.